Right, hello, good morning. Welcome back to another Tuesday morning here on the deep dive. Let me the browser. What's this? Okay, not important. All right, we are. So welcome back. For anyone who's new, if you don't know, my name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. Stream at this time each week. Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. Central Time here on the Adafruit channel, working on stuff related to CircuitPython. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, you can learn more about it at the main website for the project here, circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python that can run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. The way that it typically works is you will plug these devices into your computer. They show up like a USB thumb drive. You can edit a Python code file on that drive, and when you save it, the microcontroller will execute the code for you. The code itself can interface with whatever other peripherals you hook up to your microcontrollers. Some of these devices are very general purpose. You essentially have to hook up something else to them to make them do much of anything interesting. Others have lots of things built in already, such as, for instance, the Fruit Jam device here, which is a little mini computer, sort of credit card-ish sized device. I don't know if that's the exact size, sort of Altoids 10, somewhere in that ballpark. It has loads and loads of built-in peripherals, so this one is built around the idea of being like a little mini computer type device, kind of like a Commodore style old school purpose-built computer, but with a bit of a more modern twist. So in this case, it has a USB hub so that it can have two USB ports. It has a DAC for audio output with the 3.5mm jack there. There's also, I think, a speaker plug over here somewhere that you could plug in instead of the 3.5mm. There's a HDMI-shaped plug that outputs DVI video signal. There is a micro SD slot right there for you to put a micro SD card in to get some expandable storage. There's a Wi-Fi chip, there's NeoPixels, there's buttons. So loads and loads of different built-in things on this device, and it is no coincidence that I came to the page for this one because this is going to be the one that we use here in a little bit when we dive into things. So I'll leave that there for now, and we'll say, as always, thanks to Adafruit. Adafruit is a hardware and software company based out of New York. They make CircuitPython possible, as well as loads of other open source software by paying people to work on it. So if you would like to help support CircuitPython and those of us that Adafruit pays to work on it, one of the easiest ways is by purchasing hardware from them, which you can do on their website, adafruit.com. You can get microcontrollers like the Fruit Jam that we just looked at, although I think they may be sold out at this exact moment in time. So if you're watching live right now, I'm not sure if they're in stock, but you could check. But they certainly will pop back up at some point, even if they are not in stock. Currently, they will be back. But you can also get loads and loads of other microcontrollers and other things to hook up to your microcontrollers to make fun and interesting projects with. I will also mention, I try to always mention CircuitPython is the thing that I work on most typically, but Adafruit does also support lots of other open source software like Arduino drivers and other things. That is not necessarily the world that I'm in as much, but it is another component of open source software that Adafruit pays people to work on. So again, huge thanks to them. Huge thanks to everyone who buys hardware there to help keep the whole train rolling. So I am jumping in, and I'll try to remember this one again at the end, but JP's stream later on today, 3 p.m. my time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. You can come back here on the Adafruit channel for a nice discount for the product of the week. And speaking of discounts, I also meant to remember to mention the code right now. You can see it at the top there, Gleam15. You can get 15% off lots of glowy stuff, glowy LED strips and power supplies of various sizes and shapes and things. So get yourself some summer night glowy fun on the cheap right now. What is up, Relic IC? Howdy, Tim. Looking forward to this deep dive. By the way, you might want to check out my USB Gamepad library if you haven't already. Which I remember if I have actually. I think I have, but maybe back when I was more. Oh, okay. I see what's weird here is I'm in the actual Discord. Maybe back when I was on working on FruitJam OS and stuff, but more into the FruitJam world. I went deep into the FruitJam world for a while there, several months, and then since then I have set them aside and been into some other things, and now I'm sort of wrapping back around. It does look a little familiar, actually. I think maybe I did see this when you published it, or it went by in the either in the newsletter or the meeting one day. In like this. So there is essentially one of the things I'll say about picogame is it's got a bunch of libraries that come along with it, or I guess technically they don't really come with it. You're expected to copy them over. There's no magic or anything, but it does have a load of these libraries, Python level stuff. One of them is input, which is very similar, I think, in nature to what this is doing. I think there is also some opportunity for some of these libraries to kind of be the same, or maybe even like yours could be a replacement for it. Get to the code. Get the API. Those. Could be patients? Like yeah, not quite anchor point, literal anchor point, anchor position, but pixel position. Perhaps multiplied by the display, so kind of the same concept as anchor. Kind of a similar concept to both of them together, I suppose, but using the full width of the screen always. Cool. Yeah. Let me see. Let's jump into where we're at. That makes a good. Oh, it's also. It's okay. So where I'm at here is I did actually implement this the other day and got the basics working, and then left off with no repeat functionality. So the way that the picogame module does this is it has this input file, which is basically a library that abstracts a bunch of different kinds of controllers. The most basic ones just use like keypad or digital I/O style buttons, and you can declare which pins which buttons are on, and then that is what was built in by default. And then what I added a few days ago was this Gamepad module here, which is implementing the same interface as the existing class buttons, but of course is backed by a USB host to pull out data from the controller. And what I did implement was the is pressed and the just pressed and the just released. Clear is implemented. I don't know. I don't think I tested that, nor do I know that it really matters. Well, it would reset the state, I guess. But that's it. In the case of the keypad ones, the ones that use pins, clear will also call clear on the keypad.keys or whatever the object is. So it kind of clears an extra thing. This one, USB host, has no such thing, really. I suppose we could in the buffer or something. That would be necessary. But what I did not end up implementing was repeat. So there is also this repeat function. Nor did I do this has, actually. Has actually is going to be easy enough because this is just saying which buttons it has. Why would you pass a mask? You pass proof the active profile actually maps. This board physically has the given buttons. I see. Okay. So it is, I mean, it's telling you yes or no whether it has individual buttons, but it is doing it as bitwise math, essentially. So in this case, mapped ends up being or bitwised, or whatever this is. I don't know. That might not, I might have the, I don't know if the operator is right. I think of this as or. But whatever this is doing, it's basically adding up all these bits into a larger number, and then you can individually get the bits back out to determine which column was on or off, which field within the larger int. So there's kind of like a couple of things that I want to work on. One is this has function, one is the repeat function. And then if we get both of those done, the next thing is going to be a layer of configurability, because the buttons class, which is the one that does like keypad, digital I/O stuff, this one is set up for you to be able to go in settings.toml and actually just declare which pins all your different buttons are on. And I would like a similar layer of configurability for Gamepad. So you would go in your settings.toml, you would be able to declare which byte of the data from USB a given thing is in. So the up-down buttons are in byte number whatever, and also you would probably need to declare when it equals this is an indication of up. When it equals this is an indication of down. The down button and the up button, by the way, they're pressed. So I would like a way to set all of this in settings toml. That way you kind of configure your controller there, and the rest of this code ends up just working. We don't have that configurability just yet, so has really right now is just boiling down to a hard-coded thing. And so I'm working with the SNES like controller. And I think that it is likely going to have all of these buttons save for R2 and L2. It definitely has a D-pad, it definitely has start select, it has ABXY, it has L1 and R1, because there are shoulder buttons up there, but only one on each side. So L2 and R2 are out, start selector in, we have everything else. So in the case of Gamepad for right now, what I'm going to do for mapped, which is what has wants to use, or has went right here, I'm actually just going to map all of the existing ones, which this syntax throws me off. Weird to me the way this is laid out. Right. Yeah, we talked about this on the stream on when I worked on this on Saturday. So we don't, unfortunately, we don't have a list right now or something to iterate. What is this? What is buttons iterating? This one is iterating mapped go. Mapped. Profile. Okay, profile just comes back to the settings thing, which again we don't have yet. Maybe we should just not do has until after we have profile. And instead should start with repeat. All right, so repeat will let you check if a button is being held down, and not only if it is being held down, but it will like kind of re-trigger every, X amount of time, whatever interval you specify. So this is good for things like, if you want to be able to move more than one square in a grid, like imagine typing in your name for a high score or something, right, with a D-pad, and you have a D-pad that moves a selector around an alphabet, and you want it so that you can like hold the button down to move the selector, once per half second or whatever interval again. This lets you do that. Or another good example would be like Asteroids game. You want your ship to be able to fire like auto repeat fire so that you can just hold the button down instead of having to button mash it over and over. And it should be fairly similar. So this one is weird because it's back to just doing all this weird bit math, which again, like this stuff is tight and compact and doesn't take up much space, but is not the most readable thing in my mind. Or, I mean, it's readable because I know what it's doing, sort of higher level, but it's, that's the right way to describe it. It's like just visually difficult to visualize what it's doing compared to if it were sort of hard coding more of these binary things. But so in this case, we get a button. Sure, why we would do this. This seems weird to me, but okay. So we get button in, we set it to B, we have I on 0, we say while B is greater than 1, button is, so button is going to be one of the masks, which are like these. Like this kind of stuff is again compact but difficult to just look at it and know what it means, really, I guess. I mean, the name all is certainly a tip, but if it's greater than 0, I mean, it would basically always be greater than 0, would it not? Why? In what case would you pass in? The names will have all of these values. And these are all greater than 0. Because they're all essentially integers where one digit is, well, they're binary. So one digit is a 1, and the rest are zeros. So then why in repeat? Well, because B is changing. B is getting shifted or whatever this is doing. I is getting incremented. C is equal to hold I. C is 1, return true. I don't even know what C would stand for here. Return C is greater than delay. C. Heat? C is greater than delay? It's like time, basically. Hold I. Are we... Let's check if we're doing hold. We're not? Are we? Not currently. But in hold frames, yeah, we're not currently setting hold at all. So this won't be working. So we need to figure out in the buttons class, where does it set hold? Ah. Yeah, that's tricky. So hold is here. It gets moved into H, but then we access H via square brackets, which I think means that we are technically modifying hold. Because of, I don't know, the way that the objects work, basically. Or the right way to, I don't know the right name of this functionality. Reference versus value? But I'm pretty sure when we are using square brackets there, we're actually going to be accessing hold, not like another copy of it. Hold is a, yeah, because hold is a list. So I'm almost positive that's the case. Would almost have to be the case because otherwise hold never gets changed. So I would argue there's no real benefit to moving this into H like this. Nor probably for S. And whatever B is supposed to be, it should have a bigger name that is more descriptive. B is less than limit. Limit is 1 shifted. I totally don't care so much for all the bit math in the button handling. We need to set it to. Is it the same as state? No, state's only a number. So why is hold an integer but state is a number? Can't hold is holding times, maybe? Need to do this on this other device. I have the fruit jam hooked up that's outputting via the DVI into a capture card there. But I have also Cameroni Pico system. which is nice because I can look at the existing stuff, right? The USB thing is new. Okay, it's a count of, it must be a count of how many frames it's been held. As I press and hold a button, we can see there it starts counting up in one of the slots of the list. So hold is basically an incrementing count of basically how many time, I'm assuming how many frames, how many time pull has been called. Yeah, because it's always just getting +1. Assuming that this loop is only hitting one index in the list once per time, then that's basically setting that way. So for Gamepad, what we would want is just inside poll. We can do something similar. I don't understand the B in this part here. Should do this after we set the state, right? Because we want the most recent state. We want the current state. I'm going to get rid of H because I don't understand why. I didn't realize there was support for the Thumbie color in picogame. Gonna have to check that out. The Thumbie color, which one's that? Yeah, I know he's added a handful of new devices recently. Oh, right. I've seen this one. Yeah. It's like Game Boy Advance looking thing. Oh, it's tiny circuits, that's why. Nice. Hold. What is this mad about? Seems to have no effect. Yeah, well, because we're not doing anything with it. In the Fruit Jam. Yeah, Fruit Jam is brand new. As of like, I think just last week or something, they started support. They added the frame buffer. I tested it this weekend, and then there's a couple other improvements, I think, on Sunday or Monday or something. So Fruit Jam's brand new. The hardware ones, like the Thumbie, I would imagine that may be a little older because that was kind of the original target type of device, essentially, was handheld game thing. So the Fruit Jam is a little bit of a detour from the original sort of vision for the library. I'm going to get rid of state as well, because again, I don't see any reason that this needs to be like that. So state is a number, the number that represents all the bitwise buttons, and so it is comparing here. So B is basically us incrementing through the bits of that number, essentially. We're starting on bit number 1, and we're effectively going to be going up to bit number 2, and then bit number 3, and then bit number 4, and so on. And we're comparing that bit as we count with its position in state. And if that's true, we add 1 to hold for that button. And if it's false, then we do not. We in fact, we set it to 0 instead of anything else. And we increment I because we are moving on to the next button, and we increment B because B is essentially just keeping track of the ith bit of distance, essentially. But starting at 1, not 0. So I think actually that should basically be what we need. And then here, do we need anything different? I don't think so, because this is actually just using hold. There's nothing in here that's specific to keypad or anything. Like, I would... Again, like, I don't see any need for this. So we could just not do that, maybe? E. What's this loop? So we pass in a button, but that button, that's just a mask. That's like pointing to button B, the B button, or the down button, or whatever, right? That's just a mask, which is just an integer. So while that integer is greater than 1, what is this bit shifting doing? So if we had like 8 or whatever, right? Because 8 is, well, 7, I guess. 7 is either, I think it's Y, probably. In fact, we could import it. I have to guess which one is what. What does that bitmath do, actually? So if we had... print B would print... not 7, it's the 7th bit. And then what would this be? It moved it to the left by 1. How would we want to do that? C must be current. The current number that's in the hold list. So that's the number of frames that it's been held down. While B is greater than 1. Oh, I went the wrong way. I was like, that's going to be infinite. It's going to count up. So this is actually moving the bit to the right by 1. Means we're getting half the size each time. And we are incrementing I each time. So this is just finding out... Oh, I don't like this at all. This is just finding out the... This is just setting I. The whole purpose of this loop is to get I to be set to the correct index inside of hold. But I don't like that. We need a list of buttons, which I guess we're getting back to profile, potentially. Maybe we're just getting back to profile, but I'm gonna stop here and solve this in a different way. Kind of, okay, I'm gonna do it inside of here instead, actually, because it's gonna be different based on your configuration. And I'm just gonna say button indexes. Button bit indexes. I'm not going to do all, because all I think is a different thing. It's not technically an index, but I'm not sure. So now we have a list of this, which means we can just easily do I equals index of the button that we were passed. We get past a button mask, we get the index of it using something that reads like English. You don't need to change button to B. And then we have the index, we get the hold value of that. I'm even going to say we don't really need to break this out to C. If we were going to break it out to something more descriptive, maybe it would make sense, but we're just going to use C, and we don't know what C stands for anyway, then I don't see much. And then we don't need to start this on 0 because we're not doing any kind of counting iteration thing to get it set. Yeah. Let's try this. So I have loaded up here code for the asteroids example. I'm going to take a copy of this picogame tile world thing, quest I think it's called. I have code for the asteroids example, but it is modified a little bit to add the repeat. This was not in the original code, the repeat right here. I added this to be able to test the functionality that I'm now working on. Oh, this is the system. I think on the wrong. I'm gonna turn that print off. Thought that was in pull. Unplug. Is that print not in pull? I thought that was in pull. Buttons. I'm a little weirded out by this now because poll. So we're on the fruit jam. We're definitely on the fruit jam. And we're definitely seeing this get spammed. I will note that it doesn't actually work either. The numbers are not going when I press the buttons. Or is the ship working? We've definitely broken something. Oh, I'm being silly. Obviously, this is back to buttons because I copied the code. All of these roads point back to the same thing. Of course, it's not working because it's trying to do digital input, digital I/O. This button, this window that doesn't minimize. It's not working because it's trying to do the wrong thing, and it is printing because I realized the wrong class. That's not good. Hard faulted as soon as I pressed the button. Hard faults every time I press a button. So there were some USB host fixes. There were fixes for USB host. I wonder if I have ended up on a version where it's broken in my branch. Put over that issue recently. Doesn't the Fruit Jam use USB hub, which negates the problem? I have not read the issue at all. The Fruit Jam does use a USB hub. I do not know if that negates the problem. But I don't know of anything else that seems like an easy first step. Just because I happen to know there were changes to this and we're hard faulting, which makes me think something in the core is sideways. So I figure it's worth a try. But you may be totally right. It may be unrelated to, may not be my problem right now. I did not actually merge. Okay. Not only did I not merge, but also something else is very wrong, messed up. And I think we probably need just to update modules or something. Ah, what did I just do? I should have done smart merge. Done this. Because the translations, it's gonna get remade, I think, anyway. Hopefully I'm not gonna break it by... Assuming we need a newer tiny USB or something also. Oops. Yeah, I don't know what the, I didn't actually read the issue. RAM resident calc. I mean, we should be doing a read, not a write anyway, truthfully. So I would not actually, I mean, I would think on the grounds of that, it would also not really affect what I'm doing, but just since I know that it was changed recently, and since that we are hard faulting as soon as I press a button, I figure it's worth trying absolute newest. Probably the next thing I would do is go back to main and try on that. I mean, I don't think there would be anything in picogame, because I am in the picogame branch here. I don't think there would be anything in there that would affect it USB, because there's really no... I think there's anything USB related in the core for picogame. In fact, I've added the only USB stuff that exists so far, and I've been doing it in the Python library. It could be that this is broken in main as well. And it could, I guess, just be that it's not related to this. But the other thing that happened recently, which I'm assuming this was kind of an after effect of, is bumping tiny USB, right? Possible that it got broken here. I did test this one, but I tested only, I did not test USB host. I tested only USB audio. Need to look into this as well still. For some reason the boot animation is freezing, but that could just be bogus code on my... Okay. Yeah, so that's crashing still. I think we want to take a quick detour. I would like to get this wrapped up. So it's a little unfortunate that I'm not able to. But I think what would be most prudent right now is to take a quick detour and let's check absolute newest main and see if a basic USB host thing works or not, and if not, then we have something else that needs to be fixed. And then in order to get back to testing picogame, I kind of would need to either make a weird branch that gets the newest picogame stuff but goes back to an older sort of state of main, or we would have to get USB stuff fixed in main. then merge main back over. It is weird though, because I was able to run maybe I did break this, because I was able to run the quest tutorial. Those are fine. I mean, it is hard faulting, so there is, like, that's a kind of a bug in the core. It should not hard fault. Whatever's going wrong, it should raise an exception. That part we want to fix. But it's not just generally broken, because I was using it on the quest demo. So it is specifically this new code we added here somehow. So what I'm going to do is get rid of repeat to hopefully narrow this down to, is it dying inside the repeat function, which we would expect that it is, since that's the code I'm working on, that's the code I've changed, and that's part that didn't used to do anything, so. So even just pressed actually causes that. Well, it's not that just pressed causes it, because it doesn't happen until I actually put the button down. And actually, I've been pushing D-pad buttons. So it doesn't actually happen until the state changes. Now I'm trying to think, did I ever... Basically, did it work at all today on this build? I think it did. Yeah, this one works fine. What did I do? I want to know where we're crashing, like... Oh, did it in this one, though. Just pressed B. So even though the D-pad is actually the button I pressed, which you'll just have to believe me, I don't have the camera to show you, but the D-pad is what I pressed. The last thing that ran, at least before the serial disappeared, is the just pressed B. What if we try turning off the code that handles the B button and see if we can fly the ship? That would tell us, like, for sure the issue is inside just pressed. I mean, the issue is kind of in the core, I would still argue, because it shouldn't hard fault, but... Still crashes. Crashes on refresh. What is up, Smeetka? Just noticed a stream about picogame. Yeah, I was gonna ping you in the channel and let you know before I started, but I got behind schedule, truthfully. By the time I was getting ready to do that, I was like, I need to get going on the stream or else I'm gonna miss the start. Just ordered a fruit jam so I can finalize the support. Oh, nice. Hopefully it'll arrive in a few days. For now, I've had to emulate fruit jam frame buffer using a simple array on a 2350 without a display. I gotcha. Yeah, it's better, I will say. Let me go back here. I'll show you where I'm at right now. I think there's something well, I'm not sure exactly where it's at. I think it's likely unrelated to picogame, or at the very least, like it's in need of a fix inside the core, probably. That is with USB host. I'm getting weird stuff now with USB host, but let me show you where we're at picogame. I can show you on the rendering side. I do think the rendering got better, but there is still a little bit of a horizontal line thing going on. Oops. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, Smika in the chat here in the Discord is who made picogame. And I will wrap it up here in a few minutes. I usually go about an hour, which is what we're coming up on. So I will wrap it up in a few minutes. But I will also take a minute just to show where I'm at here, because this will be easier than going and writing the message in the chat, which I was going to do after the stream. But yeah, when the camera pans, it's much better now. And it seems to be relegated to like certain locations or whatever. Like the lines seem to be respawning in the same places over and over. And I'd have to go back and watch the previous. I'd have to go back and watch the recording of the previous stream, but I think, just anecdotally to my eye, it seems way less. Like, I think the bar is less thick or whatever. And I also think that it's there are some frames where it doesn't happen, whereas before I think it was like essentially every frame where the camera was moving. But again, I'd have to go back and actually watch the video to be sure of my comparison. This is all from memory, which is, my memory is certainly faulty. But yeah, rendering I do think got a lot better, but does still have a little bit of that horizontal line thing going on. And then my next issue right now is I have either something I've done or something in the core or something somewhere has done and messed up the USB host thing. So I was working on the USB host Gamepad stuff, trying to do repeat functionality, which is one of the things I left out when I started it. Let me try the B button, you know? So I have been pressing the D-pad. The D-pad would do stuff with the sprite, which would eventually call refresh, and the sprite would try to redraw. Maybe the error is in there somewhere. You know, I never did actually test the Asteroids game on the Fruit Jam. So once I moved to the Fruit Jam, I actually just started on the Quest one, which, as you saw a minute ago, it does play just fine. Could there be anything different in the rendering? I mean, it's just calling scene refresh. That would explain why it happens as soon as I press the button, though. But pressing a different button should rule that out. Okay, plot thickens. So I'm pressing like A, B, X, Y. I'm pressing all these buttons over here. We're not crashing. But as soon as I press the arrow button, we do. So now I'm actually curious, could we... But the B button is also going to cause the scene to refresh. Okay. Oh, so I just autopilot to pressing the D-pad again. Okay, so B works, and I totally did yet again, just autopilot to pressing the D-pad. You could tell how much I really want to fly that ship. So the B button does work. Only the arrows, only the D-pad is. So I may be back around to this could be actually a picogame issue. Maybe for whatever reason. And we know that, I believe we know that the hard fault actually comes, yeah, right. It seems to come during scene refresh, but we could actually check. Okay. Yeah, seems to be during scene refresh, it hard faults. But only after we try to move. So basically, it's calling pull, it's learning that one of the arrow buttons was pressed, it's changing the angle, And I can do just the turn. So let me actually check. Is it only the turn buttons or is it also the up button? I don't know for sure. I think it's unlikely that it's USB. Yeah, I think it's possible I just got red herringed on the USB since it was happening at the exact moment I was pressing the button. But the thing is, when I was pressing the button, it was altering the math here and then calling scene refresh. And I think it may actually be in scene refresh now that we're a bit further down. You're using that controller, all it does is change its bits. I don't see how that would mess up. I agree. I mean, I don't see how it would either. I just happen to know that it was a thing that got updated recently, so I figured it was most likely culprit. But now that we're here, I am swung back around to, I think it's likely inside of the refresh. It's something to do with the way that we are modifying the sprite and then calling refresh on it. So it's either, we'll narrow it down right here to the angle, the turning of the angle with the side arrows. So that definitely crashes it for sure. What about the up arrow? The up arrow also does crash it, okay. So all three arrow types that are supported for here, the down arrow doesn't do anything in this case. All three of those do crash it. So the two of them change the angle. The other one up changes the velocity values. Then we get a speed, which is calculated using Pythagoras. If the speed is greater than 5, looks like this is maybe capping it, or velocity x. I think this is capping it, but I'm not sure. And then this is decaying it so that we slow down a little bit each frame. This one I'm not sure about. So these FX and FY, I think, are those frame? No, I don't know. These are another one, if I'm honest, Smika, FX and FY, these are another one where a fuller, but a fuller name might be good, a more descriptive name, rather. This is calling wrap. Wrap is which thing? Wrap comes from what? Where does wrap come from? Wrap, oh, the wrap is just this. Okay, so this is, oh, wrap around the edge of the screen. Easy enough. Okay, okay. Yeah, so I think that is like frame X, frame Y, or it's like essentially the position, I think. Pixels, I think, but I'm not sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So this this is just moving the location, moving the coordinates by the velocity, and then wrap will make sure that we pop out the other edge if we hit the edge. So then frame equals angle. So if we turn these off, then we could press the buttons and nothing will happen, and I presume that we will not crash. This is like the sort of last test I can think of here is this would definitely separate out, yeah, all the USB stuff. Ooh. Wait a minute. So unfortunately, I just started button mashing, so I had like all the buttons pressed. Like I pressed a few and nothing happened, and then I pressed a few more and nothing happened. Oh, interesting. Did you see that? That bullet came out at a weird angle. I'm almost thinking it's something to do with the angles. Okay, I do need to wrap up, though. So I can shoot if I stay pointed perfectly north, and my ship will not update if I press, for instance, the right arrow on the D-pad as I just did. But the angle that the bullet wants to shoot does change. And so I just pressed B and it tried to shoot a bullet and going at that angle. So there may be something with floats, or there may be something about the frame buffer display, the way it's handling angles, or the way it's handling things moving at angles, or the way that it's doing something that is sort of perturbed by the angle of the, this is not the right code, by the angle of the ship and or bullet are causing that to hard fault. Okay, but yes, I am with you, Cooper. I don't think it's USB anymore. I was thinking that at first just because it happened at the exact same moment as I was pressing the button. Okay. So I am going to wrap it up. Thank you to everyone for watching. Huge thanks as well to Smika in the chat who made picogame. Thanks for stopping by. Again, sorry I didn't get my message off to you beforehand, but I'm glad that you were able to see it, see the improvements on the rendering, and in this case also see the issue that we came across. I will go back to Adafruit, FXXY, float like, F for float, that's right, float like. Now that you said that, I think I remember that from the from when I did the asteroid one, float like. And they're allowed to be decimals as well. So maybe there's a bug where when those either land on certain kinds of decimals, or perhaps even if they land on a decimal at all. It might be interesting to try to alter the code to cast them to ints before setting them and see if it still crashes. Yeah, I'll try to troubleshoot a bit more. I know you said you have a fruit jam on the way, but I'll try to troubleshoot a bit more and see if I can get you a more minimal reproducer and maybe start to trace through the code a bit and see if I can't help figure out what the deal is. So thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to check back in later today. JP's product pick of the week will be here on the Adafruit channel at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. You can get yourself a wonderful discount on whatever the whatever the product of the week is. And as a reminder, 15% off on those glowy strips and things. You can check that out as well anytime. You don't have to wait until a certain time of day, although I do think today is the last day for that. So if you do want glowy summer night stuff, you better get it in today while you can. Otherwise, it'll be back up to full price. Thanks for watching, everyone. I do hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful week. I will be back, I think, on Saturday over on my channel, 10 a.m. Central Time. Until then, I will bid you so long farewell. Thanks for watching. See you later.